Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm WolfStalker25 and today I got a new action figure review for you guys. Unfortunately, this guy's not very new, but this is the Jazwares Pokémon Select Mewtwo. I believe they rebranded this series to Pokémon Select like Trainer Series or Trainer Team or something like that. But this is a Target exclusive, or was a Target exclusive. Did retail for $19.99, $20 here in the US. Unfortunately, with the Pokemon Selects, if you didn't pre-order this guy, you probably, I'm assuming, had a very small window of opportunity, like a month or two, to order him online or find him in stores. And then the Pokemon Selects are kind of becoming rare again, where they disappear and then you can't find them. Some of them, they sit around, they peg warm, they get clearanced out for like $10. I actually bought a second Suicune that I might, customize. Just because I did like Suicune a lot, and I do like that Pokemon that I might customize into a shiny at some point. So, sometimes you can get lucky and get them for $10. I actually ordered that one online for like $8 actually. But Mewtwo is a very popular Pokemon. The original OG boss Pokemon, the big legendary of the game. Team Rocket had a whole movie around him. So Mewtwo is very popular. Pokemon 150. I'm assuming a lot of people were hoping we'd get this one, and I'm very happy with it. I don't have I believe they did was it D-Arts or Monster Arts or something like that. Figure Arts did a Mewtwo a long time ago that was pretty good, I think. I never had it, obviously. Otherwise, it'd be here in the review for comparison. But for $20, this Mewtwo was pretty good. Had a bendy tail, some good articulation. He has the stand as well that I think all Pokemon Selects come with. He's a little weird on some articulation. So we'll take a look at him. The one thing that's really annoying is, I guess this does feed more into the head. So he's got this weird, the thing back here. This is a separate piece that pushes up into the skull. So you could alter it. If you want him looking down more, you could pull more out, or you could push a lot in if you're trying to have him look more forward or look up. He's very limited on the up movement because of that bit. I think this is as far as it goes in, so you're not really going to get him looking any more up without bringing the back up or pulling this out entirely. Or maybe you could cut this down a little bit to give yourself more room. But articulation wise, not looking up at all. Down, that's as far as you're going. He does, obviously, as you can see, he has more joint room back there to get that. He could look, the looking is very limited because of that. So you it's gonna snap back to the middle immediately. So yeah, very limited. Arms, bicep cut. You have there. You have that far up, that far down. Unless this is also, no, I believe it was fine as is. You can do a full 360 with the arm. Double jointed elbows, get you closed that much. The wrist does swivel and hinge. So hinge is very small. Get you that far back, that far forward. The fingers are all jointed, so you could bring them in, that far, or you could bring them out that far. I like those around here. So it looks like he's in a slight grabbing pose. You do have a waist joint that gets back that far, forward that much, side. You have an upper diaphragm as well, which gets a full 360 actually, which is kind of funny. I didn't even know it did that. A little bit of forward and back tilt, not really side to side. The side to side is the down low. This can't do a full 360. Oh, well, it can if you force it probably, but I wouldn't, so I would only go that far. The legs go forward that much, back that much. You do have a weird gap here. He's very gappy on the side. And then the knee goes forward that much, back that much. On the front knee, he's got like the ankle joint here, which goes forward that much, back that much. You do get a rotation at the knee here. So let me bring the foot back down. You do get a rotation at the, actually, wait, hold on. No, actually, it's not rotating. Is it just stuck? It might be stuck. It looks like there should be a rotation. But I don't want to break him since he's not. Yeah, you have a very limited rotation at the ankle there. And then I'm assuming at the upper... Actually, the knee doesn't seem to rotate at all. So I'm not going to force that. It might have a rotation, and it's just not doing it. And then you have the foot joint that goes back that far, forward that much. So, oh, and then you have the tail. The tail looks like it has a cut here for a rotation. It actually doesn't have a cut there. This is just a bendy wire up in here. It's very limited, but the tail is very long. And because of that, he's very back heavy, and he's got the problem of like Greninja and some of the like earlier Pokemon Select figures where the joints are very loose. So like the feet, you know, you go to set them down, and here, let me bring the camera down. You go to set them down, and what you should have is the feet, you know, coming for a downward plant here, and these are flat, and then immediately he just slides. He is so back heavy, he can't hold his own weight up, and the feet just like give out on the joint. So maybe you could apply something like tighten the joints up a bit. If you could tighten the joints, maybe he'd be a little bit better in that regard and be able to stand on his own, because I would love to make him be able to stand without the assistance of the flight stand, but unfortunately he just doesn't have that luxury because he's so back heavy because of the tail. And the tail, because it doesn't have any hinges here, unfortunately, I wish it did have like a hinge or two here. You can't use the tail as a proper like stand without him like in a weird like leaning back, you know, because you'd want me to like more upright like that, and he's not gonna get that upright because of that. So unfortunately, because of all that, the flight stand is kind of a necessity, and he does have the port right here, right above the tail on his lower back. And for some reason, it doesn't want to go in. Is it angled? I think it's angled. Yeah, it's a slightly angled port. All right, and so we got them fixed. The port is slightly angled. You need to have it coming in from this side of the tail to plug in. It didn't want to plug in straight on. So here he is on the flight stand again. So he, like I said, can't stand naturally on his own. So unfortunately, he's pretty much bound to this. Maybe you could apply something to the joints to stiffen them up a little bit, and it might help. So height-wise with Mewtwo, we're going to ignore the bottom of the stand, so we're going to place this on the top of the stand here. Mewtwo is about 6.5 inches tall, 6.25 inch tall to the top of the ear. 6.25 to the top of the ear. I'm not going to do a length on him because the tail, I don't want to straighten it out. I kind of like having it in this pose, even though it's very limited. I wish the bendy wire like started further up or something. I wish there was a joint here to get the tail in a little bit better of a movement. But I think the biggest downside to this Mewtwo, because the sculpt work and the paint detail for the eyes, like the printing, is phenomenal. Everything looks great. The biggest gripe I have is how weak the legs are. Mewtwo has such thick thighs and like scrawny legs from the knee down that like he really needed as much reinforcement as he could get down here. And Jazwares Pokemon, unfortunately, just for the joints, are very weak and very thin sometimes, so he just doesn't have the bulk necessary to support the rest of this figure's bulk for, like, you know, the legs, and then especially just this heavy, oh my god, especially this heavy tail that he's got going on here. Like, he just doesn't have the ability to support himself, so he just needs this stand. So yeah, great figure overall though, besides that stand requirement. So here's Mewtwo though, next to some Hasbro figures. You have the G.I. Joe and Marvel Legend. You have your Star Wars The Black Series, Captain Rex. Unfortunately, for some reason, that dumb Scarlet Spider just doesn't want to stand right. Um, you got your Power Rangers and your Fortnite Victory Royale figure. Unfortunately, those two licenses are both pretty much gone from Hasbro, so a little bit of a bummer. If you were a fan of either of those, which I was. I mean, I started dying out of Power Rangers because they're just not making the Rangers I wanted them to, but yeah, kind of a bummer to see them go. But here you go, Figma Samus, SH Figuarts Goku. So yeah, Mewtwo also, a little bit of an extra note. If you're a fan of it, obviously you know, Mewtwo is in Super Smash Bros. So there he is next to Samus. I think that scales pretty well. I don't know how tall Mewtwo is supposed to be in the universe, but he's, I think, pretty big. Mezco Stealth Iron Man as well. So if you're getting this Mewtwo for a Pokemon display, great. If you're getting this Mewtwo for a Super Smash Bros. Display, great. I kind of wish I had a second one if I had the money and space for it, because I would have loved to have one day like an actual like Smash Bros. Display set up and try and get figures of all the characters in the game. So it would have been nice to have a second Mewtwo and then one on like the Pokemon shelf. But oh well. Unfortunately, like I said, this guy is pretty much gone, sold out as far as I'm aware. Maybe you're lucky in your city or your state or your wherever. I don't know how, if you're overseas and not in the US, or I guess if you're in Canada or somewhere else, how is the distribution on Pokemon Selects? Do you guys find them there? I'm kind of curious to know how that is, because obviously I don't travel outside of the country, so I don't know the distribution on these lines, and I'd be curious to know, because like for us currently, the figures maybe get a month or two shelf life in Targets, and then they're gone. Like, you will not find them. And then maybe you get a clearance if you're lucky, if the figure is not as popular. Like, I'm assuming Toxtricity will probably get clearanced because, yeah. And Flygon probably will be a little bit more of a shelf life, or he'll be a little bit better. I honestly almost want a second Flygon because I like the figure so much. So here's Mewtwo next to Suicune and Flygon. Looks great. I'm not going to get the legendary birds out. I'm going to be honest, they are a pain to remove from the shelf. Zapdos, I actually had to switch off of his Pokemon stand because it plugs into like the cone of his tail, and it started like destroying the figure. So you're going to have to, deal with the legendary beast, or cats, or if you're a crazy person and you think a tiger and a leopard are dogs and you want to call them legendary dogs for some weird reason, then there you go. But they're legendary cats, or properly the legendary beast. These both look great next to me too. I can't wait for Entei. Then we'll have, obviously we're never gonna get Ho or Lugia, but maybe they'll do an epic battle figure of Ho, because they did an epic battle of Lugia, and that'd be pretty sick. Up next, we'll bring out Charizard. Two of the most popular Pokemon. Also Pokemon in Smash Bros. As well as your little battle figure of Pikachu. Let's bring out some more Gen 1. Let's do the epic battle Venusaur. I wish we had a Blastoise here. And Psyduck. Actually, I want to say these are all Pokemon from the first movie that get turned into like the cloned versions. So pretty cool to see all them together. I don't think Jolteon was part of that, but Jolteon's here too. And then we got a Bandai model kit Gengar that I'm just gonna, throw into the mix, even though he's all dusty and out of scale. Gengar's way too small. Needs to be bigger. So hopefully someone gets on that and makes a bigger, better one. Here's the Figma Gloria, in case you wanted to see Mewtwo next to a trainer. She's pretty great. I honestly really like that figure. And I wish we could get some more trainers from Figma, because I would love if we could get Red again re-released, and if we could get a Figma version of Ash, maybe that'd be pretty great. You don't even have to do his original look, which I would love, but you could do one of his later looks, because he, all of his looks are pretty great, all of his outfits. Here's another Pokemon Select that did release last year as well. This is Tyranitar. Pretty great figure too. Very limited again on articulation for this guy. But yeah, Mewtwo is a weird one though. His articulation's pretty great, but he just can't stand. And here's another one that has hard standing, but like kind of hard time standing sometimes, but very limited articulation, but also relatively good figure sculpt wise. Here's Garchomp, and I think that's gonna be it. Well, you know what? Last figure, psychic types. We'll throw another psychic type up here. Here's Metagross and Mewtwo. So there you go. Some pseudo legendaries with your legendary. But yeah, if you're a fan of Pokemon, if you are a fan of the Pokemon Selects or just Pokemon or Smash Bros, I think Mewtwo probably sold pretty well for a $20 price point. Looks pretty. I mean, he looks fantastic. It's just the articulation in the tail and the weakness in the legs just doesn't help this guy who really needed the lower body strength to hold his whole self. So yeah, that's kind of a bummer. But for the price point of $20, I think he was great. Unfortunately, Target exclusive, and at this point, he is like 5-6 months old. So sold out and gone. Hopefully you did get him though. Let me know in the comments below. Like I said, did you pick this guy up? And if you did, what do you think of him? And if you're outside of the US, how is your distribution on this guy? Did you even see him in stores? I'm just curious, and I kind of want to know on like how these releases are for you guys as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you would, I would always appreciate a like and subscribe to the channel. If you're new and haven't done so already, it does help me out a lot. Do greatly appreciate it. And yeah, that's going to do it for me today. So I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye.